is one of my Space Shastra interview, and I'm so excited. We will be having our guest Gauri Verma. She's one of the astrophysicists, and I'm really excited for this conversation. So let's see how it goes. Today, hey everyone. Most students think space is not for them because it's not because they are not enough or they are not smart enough, but because nobody ever showed them the way in, and that's going to change today. Welcome to Space Shastra, the podcast by She in Space, where we bring you the real stories behind space industry, the honest journey, the practical truth, and the people who are quietly changing what is possible for the next generation. I'm Srushti Patil, your host, space microbiologist, aspiring astronaut candidate, and founder of She in Space. And today's conversation is one I think every student with a dream bigger than their current circumstances need to hear. My guest today is Gauri Verma. She is an astrophysicist, someone who has walked the corridors of University of Oxford, University of Warwick. She's a science communicator with more than like 7 years of experience making astrophysics like feel accessible and exciting for entire new generation. She has mentored many students in STEM, and she is also starting something incredible in space industry now. And currently she sits on the advisory board of SETS India, one of the most powerful student led space communities in the country. So Gauri, welcome to Space Shastra. I am so glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Shrishti. It's a pleasure being here and being able to talk to people who might have questions like, okay, what is astrophysics? And this kind of field has a lot of jargons as well. So I want to make jargon, by the way, is like a harder word for something. And being a science communicator, I want to kind of dilute all those jargons and make sure that everybody who's listening to us today, they feel connected to us, just like a third person sitting in the room, and they can have a conversation about science or space without any hesitation.
I am sure we're definitely looking forward for this incredible conversations. So, Gauri, before we go into, big topics like space, stars, galaxy, careers, if you can share about, yourself, or let's make this interesting. If you can describe yourself in 3 words, and not your title, just you as a human being.
That's a very interesting question. Thanks, Shrishti. First of all, I think I'm very, very curious. I want to know how things work, and why this is happening, what is going to happen next. So that curiosity obviously drives me. Second is I'm very, very again. I think it goes with curiosity. I'm very energetic. So if I have an action planned in my mind, I would go ahead and deliver that action, or collaborate with people. The third is that I'm a chatterbox, so I talk to people. I go out and talk about my career with people, or even just general topics like history or humanity or climate change, because that becomes one of the ladders in how you grow your network. So that's the 3 words that I would love to describe myself in.
Oh, that's a really interesting way to describe, and yeah, amazing. So we know that you have a background in computer science, and then you moved into astrophysics. This is like not a straight line. So what happened? Was there a specific moment where you look up at the sky or stars and thought, no, this is like actually what I need to be here or doing?
Right. So that goes back to when I was in third grade. I was really, again, I was very curious and inquisitive. And that's when I think in 2006, there was a total solar eclipse that happened. And, all of our school teachers, they took us to the ground and they gave us those solar glasses through which it's safe to look at the sun during a solar eclipse. And it was during that phenomenon that I felt that, oh, this is really interesting and I want to study this even deeper. So I think I had made up my mind back then, and it was sitting somewhere in my subconscious brain that this is what I want to do somewhere down the line. And because I was so much interested. And then following the years, I joined the astronomy club of my school. The interest became even more stronger. And then when I was looking for courses to do within core astrophysics, I couldn't really find core astrophysics courses in India. So I thought, okay, let's just go one by one. I loved coding, so I took BTech Computer Science as my bachelor's degree. And once I finished that, I was looking for a core astronomy or astrophysics course, and I found the best option in UK. So I moved abroad for my education, and I did my master in astrophysics. So I think the seed was there. The seed had been there since a very young age, but it took a while to kind of the tree to grow and the fruits to come. So that's how the journey goes.
Oh, that's interesting. I think it's very important that there should be, those seeds during childhood or any particular moment that strike us, and then we go on achieving and understanding more, being curious to get to know a few things, and then it leads to another step. So yeah, that's great. So let's talk about, Oxford, because I think a lot of students who, they have a picture in their head of about Oxford, like the architecture, the prestige, the name. But what is it actually like to be, an Indian student walking into the environment for the first time, the culture shock, or the academic pressure, the social reality per se, if you can put a light to it.
That's a very good question, and I can talk for days about Oxford. I lived in Oxford for 1.5 years, and it was a great opportunity that came my way. So basically, I was applying for jobs, and this happened to come also in my inbox, and I applied for it, and luckily, I got selected. Uh, and when I moved to Oxford, it was, I would say, a life turning point for me because that actually gave me an introduction to a very English culture. So, I had been living in the UK for a long time already. However, Oxford is very much, it kind of radiates the English culture. It tells you exactly what the English culture is, and it's very, very posh. It's very, very sophisticated, and I learned a lot living in Oxford. I learned how the English people talk, how they think, and I was working in a very, very English office. Again, when I say English, that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just very different from the Indian culture. And I was very open and accepting to, the different changes that were coming my way. Getting to know the people around me, and obviously the architecture speaks for itself. It's a very, very beautiful city. You feel like you're living in a fairy tale, and that's actually very true. The people over there are really, really nice. They're very sophisticated. They love what they do, most of them. They love what they do, and they passionately talk about it. When I was living in Oxford, because I felt safe, I had a really nice routine, and I loved my job. So yeah, it was amazing. If you talk in terms of the pressure and the changes that an Indian student have to face, so obviously there are changes, but I think it grows on you. Like once you start living there, you realize that people are very much alike throughout the whole world, right? If you're nice to them, they would be nice to you. If you're not, then obviously they would react. So treat people like you normally do, and especially in Oxford, people are very, very polite. They speak with a certain accent, which is extra careful. It's very, very, again, posh, I would say. So they're very careful with what they say. One thing I like about not just Oxford, but just about the people in the UK is that if they have to say something they don't like, they wouldn't just say, "Oh, this is bad." They would just kind of like go around it and say, this is interesting. We might have to reconsider maybe." So they kind of tune it down for you so that you understand and you don't feel bad about it as well. So yeah, the pressure, there was no such pressure, but I always wanted to fit in into my office so that, I don't feel any different from these people. And I think my colleagues were really, really nice. So they made me feel really comfortable. I was the only Indian who was like from non-British background, who was working in the college. So that also made me kind of stand out, and everybody, was either English or they were born in Britain, even from a different ethnic background. But yeah, I was the only one. However, I didn't feel that I was the odd one out. They made me feel really comfortable and included. So it's upon you how you accept their culture and how you accept them as your colleagues or your friends, and they would obviously retaliate.
Oh, that's really great. I think it's really essential about the environment where you go into, and the culture, and obviously it's Oxford, so you are getting whole lot of exposure personally, professionally, academically. So we can definitely relate to
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Uh,
One kind of pressure that I did feel was obviously the name carries a lot of prestige. So,
yeah.
you're supposed to kind of be very professional about it because you're representing the university if you're going somewhere else. So I went for conferences, and people looked at me with a different pair of eyes when I said, okay, I'm from Oxford, I work with the university. They obviously had a different kind of mindset when they heard this. So they would treat me with a different kind of respect. And yeah, so it really gives you that prestige, but then you have the responsibility to take it forward. You know how it's, in Spider-Man they say, with big responsibility, sorry, with big power comes big responsibility. So that's something that I had to carry forward.
Definitely.
I just want to say that, carrying that prestige and name of Oxford with me, it did add up a little bit of pressure, but I just had fun. And that's what you need in life. If you're having fun in whatever field that you are in, you'll definitely get to a very good position.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
Mhm.
So now let us talk about, since we are talking about Oxford and international exposure, let's talk about what student, actually need. What does it really take to get into a program like Oxford, University of Oxford or Warwick for astrophysics or space science? What do they look for, the most of in most of the student, and what should student be inculcate as a part of academics or skills to go, get into this kind of prestigious organizations?
That's a very good question, and I think it's very essential for people to know as well. Because when I was applying for education abroad, I did a whole lot of research, like a year-long research, and even more than that. So I think it's a very wide question, but I think I can narrow it down to like a few minutes. So first of all, universities are looking for an individual, how they are developed as a person, their personality, right? How they what all kind of fields they've touched upon in their lives. They don't just need to see your marks, which that's what we think, that let's just bring 99% marks, and we're going to be in. That's not true. So you need to build a holistic profile. That's what they look for, most good universities. And which means that obviously you need to be good in your academia because you're going out there to study your course, but you also need to show how good you are in your communication skills. If you're good in sports, if you're good in music, if you're good in some kind of society work or NGO work. So you have to kind of bring all these buckets together and showcase yourself so that the university would select you on the basis of your profile. And there are different ways to do that. Obviously, I worked with different NGOs. I worked as an intern for free just to gain experience. And most of my work that I did as a science communicator before I moved to the UK was free. So don't think that, okay, this is for free, I'm not going to do it. You can do it just for gaining the experience, because that will count invaluable later on as an addition to your profile. So I would very much recommend students to kind of, spread their horizons and try new things, try instruments. Basically, what they're looking for is a holistic profile, which means, you've worked with NGOs, you've worked with some kind of organizations. And most of my work as a science communicator, which I did before moving abroad, was for free. So So don't think that, if I'm not getting paid for it, I'm not going to touch upon this opportunity. Later on, that opportunity will get you more jobs, because you've added experience on your CV. So try building your CV into a very, very polished and rich CV, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I think, building or getting involved just into like different aspects, say internships or any kind of community work, just for a formality, it didn't, it didn't work for this kind of organization. But if you think about yourself, like before applying to those, if you think about yourself and building your personality itself, this is definitely going to reflect in those the applications, the problems, personal statement that you'll be sending. And I think, yes, overall, the holistic approach and holistic career development, personality development is really helpful for students to consider for bigger and better opportunities.
Yeah, yeah, and I think one challenge that most students face is that they don't know, right? So I would just say that instead of asking people, asking your friends what to do, asking for agencies what to do, first do your own research. That's when you'll feel confident about, okay, what's wrong, what's right. It's going to take time, but the more you consult yourself, consult the internet, and the more you explore, that's how you'll learn that what is actually true, what is actually false. Because when I was going and asking people, there were obviously so many opinions in the market, and then you get confused.
Yes.
So one recommendation I would do is definitely do your homework, do your research, so that you know exactly what field is right and what's wrong. And obviously the application process is very, very tiring and it's very, very long. So that kind of commitment has to be there if you're applying abroad. And every university has a different eligibility criteria, different forms to fill, different examinations to give. For example, some ask for GRE, IELTS, and TOEFL, which are language exams. However, some don't. So when you do your research, make sure you kind of create an Excel sheet. That's what I did, to kind of exactly track what's happening around me.
Okay, that's great. That's a good way to also understand and get your hands on, in project management kind of work. So yeah, you have lived and worked in space science ecosystem in both UK and now in India. I really want to understand what is, genuinely different. Not just in terms of resources and infrastructure, but in culture, the mindset, and in how the industry operates. Uh, if you can.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So I think the major difference that people will tell you, and that even I faced, was the work-life balance, right? People in India, they work post 5 p.m. very happily. I mean, even we do it all the time. However, abroad, it's like people give a strict timing to their work, which is, could be 9 to 5, could be anything else, could be 8 to 4, or even 10 to 6, whatever. However, they kind of restrict themselves, and then they kind of give time to their family or to themselves. So they have a very restrictive time zone, which obviously is flexible.
Mhm.
However, they love to give time for themselves. They love to separate that time, that this is me time, that's something that's a very blur line in India. And it could be because of the family orientation. We live with our families, so we never really asked for that me time, which is completely fine. We just need to relax, and family is one of those ways to relax. So I think the work life balance is very different. There have been cases where my bosses have been calling me at 8 p.m. and I've picked up their phone in India, but I'm not accountable if I don't pick up their calls in the UK. In fact, they do not call me after 5. So that's completely fine. And if I'm actually sending them an email, or if I'm sending them a WhatsApp text after 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., my boss would come back to me and say, "Why are you texting me? Relax. I'll check it tomorrow morning." So please relax. There was an instance in Oxford once. I was kind of organizing a very big event for women. It was like the 50th anniversary of women's admission in one of the colleges, and it was a whole day event. There were many talks, discussion tables, and I had invited about 16 women speakers. All women were like of amazing positions. Some were CEOs, some were like high court judge or in the UK. So it was one of the biggest achievements till now in my CV. And I was working like anything while organizing that event. Again, that was the fun of it. So, I was writing emails to invite all these speakers who were really prestigious to the university. And I was drafting it, and I had sent like a draft to my manager at 12 at night. And in the morning when I went back to the office, she was like, "Are you all right? Why were you working up so late? I don't want you to be consumed by the work. Work is just a part of your life. It's not your life. So please take it easy." And I had to say to her, that was my concentration zone. It was just coming to me, so I just had to get it done, and I just sent it to you. So I think that's very I think that's very cute in their culture, that they respect everyone's time, and they have they really respect that.
Yeah, this is amazing to hear because even while I was working in space industry and I was working from home in India and we had to, so there were incidences where we had to submit some proposal or so. So we were like, constantly having meetings even after 8 p.m. and working midnight and still we have to share all those details. And for us in India, I do agree that we feel bind by those positions or the work, but it's a very good culture to develop here in India as well. I think now the upcoming generations, they are bringing this kind of changes in the professional and commercial sector, but a long way to go.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to next question. You choose to come back to India after your time in after a good time in UK, and this is not like a obvious choice. A lot of people with your background and credentials, they stay abroad. What
That's a very good question, and the most frequent question I would say that people ask me, that why did you come back? I wouldn't do that if I were living in Oxford. And to be very honest, I had this in mind that I'm not living in the UK forever. There is time when I have to go back to family and basically contribute back to India, because basically when I was growing up, I felt there were lack of opportunities, and the bridge between industry and education in terms of space sciences was very much missing. And I felt that as a student, and I felt really helpless, I would say. So, and then when I was doing my course, a lot of people within my reach, like within my family or my friends, they connected with me. They said, "Oh, this is a great opportunity for you to do abroad, but there are no options in India. So even we wanted to do astronomy, but we're kind of settling for other subjects like physics or computer science, or other subjects." So I was like, this is really frustrating, and I think it's also lack of opportunity, but there's also lack of awareness. So my objective when I came back is to spread more awareness about space careers in India, because I know people from not just ISRO, but there are so many private space tech companies which are emerging, especially in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, Mumbai, who are working towards developing space tech on, there are so many startups who are working on that part. Um, so I wanted to establish like a really wide network within India, wherein I can create awareness, wherein I can create a bridge between industry and educational institutions, so that students who are genuinely interested in space, they do not have to settle for less. They do not have to kind of compromise and go into other fields because just because they thought there was lack of opportunity in this field. There isn't. Yeah, in comparison to other nations, because they are developed countries, obviously the opportunities are less. But I think now it's time that it's changing. So this is a very, very good time to enter the space industry if you're a space enthusiast or an amateur astronomer, or you want to contribute something in space tech or science communication. I think this is a very good time. And where I thought that there was lack of opportunity, I thought I'll go back and create opportunity. So that was the motivation, and that's what drives me, Srishti.
Wow, that's incredible. I think that's a very strong vision to follow too. When you know and you've experienced the industry, you have experienced the academic, the culture, the professional life as well. And I do agree that in India, we are still in a beginning phase. There are opportunities coming right now. The opportunities are real, and the timing is right now, it's real in Indian industry, and it's really essential to make people aware about the industry itself, because this is what, in at She in Space we are also trying to develop and build and connect people with space industry through this kind of conversations, and make space industry, people should feel like it is accessible to them as well. And the space is not just like for rockets and moving into other planets and building civilization, but it is definitely going to bring a lot of applications to our daily lives, be it for farmers, or be even it nowadays there are good applications in terms of pharmaceutical, drug development, medicine industry, and whatnot. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's so Gauri. Since you share about your vision and what brings you here in India, and you want to build something, bridging the gap and bring awareness to the people, the students, the next generation. So I would really appreciate, for a student in India right now, who is trying to decide, should I study here or should I go abroad? What is your honest advice? Like, is study abroad necessary to have a serious career in astrophysics or space science, or do you recommend that while studying in India and having those kind of degrees in India, they can definitely be on such positions, what you or major leadership position in top space organization can achieve?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question for the listeners as well. So the answer is no. It's not essential for you to study abroad and obviously do these courses. There are opportunities available in India. So when I was searching, for example, there's obviously IISc Bangalore. That's the prime institute. The best institute in India that we have, as they say. So they have courses. However, I think they have only PhD courses. If you want to do like a master's course or an integrated master's or a bachelor's course, there are IISCRs, which are throughout India. It's kind of like I say the IIT for sciences, for pure sciences. So there are courses wherein you can do physics with astronomy. That's a course in which your electives will be very much core astronomy or astrophysics or cosmology. So they are very much aligned with if you want to get into pure sciences or astrophysics or astronomy. My the reason why I chose to go abroad was the kind of the level of science communication that I wanted to build was not existing in India. I had worked with a couple of organizations, and the level of science communication I felt was very much like, it was like a monologue. People would just put up a presentation and then they would just talk about space, which I felt was not really connecting with the audience that well. So I went abroad to study what are different ways to establish science communication so that people are interested. You can create an immersive experience and therefore people would be interested to listen to you. And B, I think the bar in India is set very high, obviously, because if you want to take admission in IISc or IISCRs, you have to clear a certain level of exams, which I tried, but I couldn't get into. So if you're able to, that's amazing. But if you're not able to, then even then, there are university courses now which you can do. I think there's Osmania University in Hyderabad. They provide astronomy courses as well, and there are a few others. Again, we'll have to do a lot of research, because I think over the past 3 years when I was searching for my courses, many things have now changed. But you do not need to go abroad to study astrophysics. You can very much study it in India. And I know a lot of people who have, who are in ISRO, they're working as scientists, and their background is astronomy or astrophysics or even aerospace engineering. But then you have to kind of clear your mind if you want to go into core research or space tech, like manufacturing, building rockets and satellites, or do you want to go into core science communication side of things? My role is kind of a mix of science communication and also like public engagement and kind of doing research about astrophysics at a very kind of surface level.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for sharing those insights. I am sure students who are listening to this, it's really beneficial for them as well. So let's move to our next segment. Let's talk about, women in space science and astrophysics, especially. You have moved through like multiple institution across two countries. What is the, reality of women in this space? And has it felt different in India versus the UK?
Yes. So obviously abroad, they also try to encourage women in space. It's not like, that women are overpowering the science or space industry in space. But outside, I felt it was very much strong. Men are really, really respectful about women doing sciences, being in the space industry, and the number is more. I think the men to women ratio is either the women are more or they are kind of equal. Now, I don't know in terms of like laboratories how it works. Maybe the men are more, but in the field of science communication or science museums, or even the Oxford office that I was working in, that we were more women than men. So we felt more, but however, we felt supported by men. It was not like we were overpowering them. So I think the sex ratio outside in the space industry, or the science communication industry, women are more in comparison to in India. But I think the Indian system is very much also encouraging women to adopt space sciences and come up with new idea and display your thoughts within the industry. So they're very much welcoming, and I think in the coming next decade we'll surely be at a similar level as well, because we do have women who are very curious, who are very passionate, and who are very much ambitious to do something in the space industry or in any other scientific industry as well.
Yeah, sure, sure, definitely. And I think the dynamics are definitely changing. The scenarios are changing right now because even when I was doing my masters and doing those internship, I can see the participation of women and majority of women when it comes to definitely science communications and lab works here. I do see few opportunities and few gaps when you go to the large conferences like IC or the very niche, domain when there is like full engineering or mechanical stuff comes in. There are still scope, but definitely we are observing a good progress and good representations of women on national and international levels.
Yeah.
And so you are on the advisory board of SETS India, one of the largest student-led space communities in the country. From that position, what are you specifically trying to change or improve when it comes to gender inclusion and access?
So SEDS India is, I would say, a hidden gem within India, because The reason why I got associated with SEDS India was because I had worked with UK SEDS before in the UK for 1.5 years. Now, I'd like to tell everyone what SEDS actually means. It's basically Students for Exploration and Development of Space, right? So that's kind of like a student-led community wherein students are discovering new things about space and they're kind of disseminating this information to that community. And UK SEDS had been there for, I think 2 decades now. And being a part of UK SEDS gave me the confidence, how to deal with people, how to conduct events online and offline. We were kind of in a structured hierarchy. I was the team lead of membership team. That means that if somebody comes into the community, I'm responsible for like checking if they're eligible or they're not eligible, and then I would start the process of the membership for them. So and then I had to kind of interact with the other teams, for example the diversity team or the technical team or the events and outreach team. So we all worked in harmony, and that gave me the actual the ground skills that you need, that everybody likes to include in their CV, like time management, teamwork, collaboration, communication skills, all those skills that we would like to showcase on our CV. Working in organizations like these give you those skills. And I was working there as a volunteer, so I didn't get paid for it. So then you can't you if you don't have the passion to work for this kind of an organization, then you wouldn't actually go. So obviously my team and the other team members, whoever was there, they were all working as volunteers, they were not paid, and clearly that is why they were there, because they were passion driven. They loved space, right? So it was a really nice group of people that I got in touch with. And getting inspiration from that, when I was coming back to India, I was like, okay, is there a community like that in India? Because I would love to keep working with UK SEDS, but I can't, because as an Indian citizen, I had to move back and I couldn't work with UK SEDS anymore because that was the policy. However, I would love to work with a similar organization within India. So I started searching and I found SEDS India and I spoke with the chairperson, and we really clicked well. And they were like, yes, SEDS India is a really good community. However, it's not really active in some of the regions of India. So we need to we've been thinking about it, and since you have the kind of you have the same energy as we do, let's take it forward. So they asked me to be on the advisory board, and now we're kind of leveling things up. And it's a very much, again, it's a very passion driven community. Anybody can be a part of it. When I say anybody, that means students, early graduates, young professionals, and even parents. So we have like different buckets. We have 3 buckets in how people can be a part of it. One is as a volunteer. Again, there's no age limit, but I think you have to be above a certain age, maybe 12 or 15, ideally around 18, actually. And volunteer means that you're working for the organization for free. You're conducting events or in whichever team you're working. So you're working for the organization. Second is a member. Member is, again, you're a student or you're a young professional under a certain age limit, say 30. And then after that, you can be as you can act as an alumni to the society, which means anybody above the age of 30 can act as an alumni to the society. And even my parents or my grandparents can be a part of that community. They would be on the receiving end of the benefits, for example, the newsletter or whatever events we do within the different chapters, which we chapters means that there are different universities that we tie up with, and we call them chapters. So we're trying to grow that network, expand that network. It's mostly right now within the southern part of India. Now we're trying to expand it in the northern part of India as well.
Okay, I think this is a very good initiative and organization that SEDS is doing in India, and definitely as a student-led organization, we can definitely see a good amount of activities going on there, and there must be different webinars and session. So I would highly recommend to all those students who want to step in this kind of the space industry, they can be a part of SEDS. And I think SEDS and you already told that there are different pathways, so they can choose from based on their interest and how what kind of say participation level or timing they can proceed with.
Yeah, definitely. And I would love to kind of, in the description, I would love to give you guys, like everyone, all the listeners, a form that we're asking to fill people to kind of just gather interest. And it's a survey form that, because we are taking SEDS India to the next level now, we're working on the back end of the website, we're creating logins and everything. So that would definitely help us to understand what kind of audience we have. And then we would love to like cater to them accordingly.
Sure, sure. So we'll be sharing all the details in the description. So do fill those Google forms and you can start your journey with SEDS India. So, Gauri, since our podcast, named Space Shastra, I would really like to ask what is your Shastra, like the one principle or belief that has guided everything, you have built, and how does it shape the way you approach your own career and work life?
That's a very good question, Shrishti. And I think that one Shastra or that one mantra I live by is that space is for everyone and everyone deserves to love it, right? There are so many students or even older people who are kind of scared of space or science because they think it only involves maths and physics and those complicated derivations and equations. However, it's not the case. I mean, doing astrophysics degree, I did have to go through that path, but again, I enjoyed it because I love maths and physics. But it is also for people who do not like maths and physics. So there are so many different variations in science as well. Science communication is one. Even if you don't want to talk about it, you can just read about it or listen to a podcast like this one, just to kind of get a different perspective about a different person or about how their career works. So it's for everyone, and everyone deserves to know about it because it's not just that you're interested in the subject. If you're listening and trying to learn more about space and the universe, you're basically learning more about yourself. Because you know how we say that we are all star stuff. Why are we spending so much money on space research is people ask usually, because we're trying to go out in the universe and see how this earth was formed. We're trying to go back in time and see, and then we would obviously kind of we all are trying to predict what the future will be like. Will Mars colonization will be possible? That's why so much money is going into space exploration. So you're a part of this journey, so please don't feel excluded.
Honestly, I want to be the person I needed when I was, say, 17 to hear all this that you have just shared, because it is really important to, share this kind of awareness and motivation any of us could, ever had.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the one of the exciting section of this podcast interview. It's like a rapid fire round. So this is so first the first thing that comes in your mind you have to share. So are you ready?
Yeah, seems like fun. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So India or Oxford, where did you have more fun?
Sorry, could you repeat?
It's India or Oxford. Where did you have more fun?
I would say Oxford.
Okay. And amazing thing about the Indian space community right now that you are experiencing.
The energy, the enthusiasm. Because whenever I say something, okay, let's do this, people come back with, yeah, this is great, let's do it.
Yeah, even I feel the same way. The hunger, the
Hmm.
ambition is extraordinary when it comes to, the newer generation, especially when there is a private players that come in picture.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, one thing that you want to explore about universe.
Oh, I'd love to explore more about black holes.
Okay, that's great. Astrophysics or astrobiology, which one wins in a debate about revealing the mysteries of universe?
Oh, this is a good one because they obviously go hand in hand and they're very interdisciplinary. However, I think astrophysics because that defines the physics behind how things work.
Okay, I come from a biology background, so I always go with astrobiology.
Nothing against you, Shrishti. Nothing against you.
We can collaborate together and
Yeah,
find
yeah,
incredible things.
exactly.
Okay, one book you want to recommend to students who are interested in astrophysics?
Oh, nice. So I would love to say The Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking, because that's, I think, a very readable language. And it's kind of uncovering the mysteries of space in a very understandable language and gives you the idea of what space is.
Yeah, definitely. It's an incredible book. Even I read that, and it feels amazing. You can never put it back if you start reading this. Okay, moving on. Most underrated scholarship Indian students do not apply for. When
Oh,
it
this is
comes
a
to
good one.
international, opportunities and admissions.
This is a good one because I came to know about the scholarship when I was abroad. It's called the Chevening Scholarship. So it's provided by the UK government, and it completely sponsors your stay, your accommodation, your food. It covers everything, your tuition fee. However, there is only one or a few Chevening scholarships provided by the UK government in a year. So do check out what the Chevening Scholarship is about, and we would obviously put the link in the description as well.
Okay, that's great. And one thing, what does your family think you do for a work as an astrophysicist?
They think I'm crazy, so I think even they don't know what I do actually, because sometimes I'm going to different schools, I'm going to universities to deliver lectures. The other week I had a workshop on entrepreneurship in my alma mater, so where in the university that I studied my bachelor's in, and yeah, so I do online meetings with people. I do podcasts. I love talking about space. I do meetings with SEDS India, so I do a lot. And I think that's what drives me. I love doing different kind of things. However, the motivation is to build a bigger community, space community in India, and to grow my own company, which is, again, it's about immersive space education and conducting immersive space workshops in schools, in colleges. So I'm starting with Delhi NCR, and then we'll obviously go in different locations in India.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, so obviously I would love to say, if you're a student and you would love for Space Tour India to come to your school, definitely drop us a line, and then if it's within our reach, we would definitely love to conduct workshops in your school.
Okay, since you brought about Space Tour India, if you can, share your vision with this initiative and your, how you want to proceed with Space Tours India.
Sure. So I came across, the company Space Store. It actually emerges from the UK, and Steve Ringler, he is the founder of Space Store Limited, which is again based in Oxford. So he is a NASA trained rocket scientist. So and again, he's a lovely guy to, have a conversation with about space, because he shares the enthusiasm and all. And the company they have a little store in Oxford. They sell space merchandise. They conduct astronaut experiences for people using VR and augmented reality. VR stands for virtual reality headsets and augmented reality products. So that really kind of drove me that, okay, this is how we can make space education more immersive, and so that people would take something home apart from just knowledge. They would take an experience with them home. And similarly, they conducted space workshops, and there's an online course that they deliver on space, which are delivered by industry professionals. And there's also an Oxford space course which happens every year in the summer, which is for international students again. So it's like a student exchange program. So they do loads of things, and I thought, this company is doing so well for the people in the UK. I think I should take it to India as well, because Indian people are so energetic about space. They love opportunities, so they would love this company. And that's why I partnered with the company and I brought it to India. So the idea is to establish a space store limited in India and then take it from there so that people can actually experience what space is like through immersive workshops that we deliver.
Okay, this is amazing. So we'll share all the details about Space Store India in the description. So do follow Space Stores and looking forward to all those exciting immersive courses, webinars, and workshops. Moving on, one word for the Indian space ecosystem right now.
It's growing. It's growing. Yeah.
Okay, and last thing you read or watch about space.
Oh, last thing I read or watched about space, I think I watched one of the podcasts or a video of, Neil deGrasse Tyson. His podcast is named as Star Talk, and he really talks about different aspects of the universe. So I think that was the last time he was talking about, how when we look far in the universe, we're actually looking back in time because time takes light takes a little while to reach to us, right? So if we're going back in time, we're looking at a particular galaxy, how it would look like, say, 5 light years ago. And that's really, really interesting because if we get to know that, okay, a star is there, it's a big star, it's there in a particular direction, we can never actually know what its current state would be like because we're looking back in time. It might have died, it might have collapsed into a supernova. But for now, we see it as it is. So this is really, really interesting. And it took me years to digest this information that how can we look back in time if we're looking at something which is away from us? But it's all physics and it all makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I must agree that the podcast Art Talk, it is one of my favorite podcast as well, because the way Neil deGrasse Tyson explains everything about space and stars, it's really amazing. And you can, a layman or from a non-science background people, they can easily understand all the concept and the logic behind it, and they can relate to those stories. So yes.
Exactly, exactly. So, I actually came across Neil deGrasse Tyson very much later in my career, and I wish I did earlier because he explains everything so simply. And when I look at him, I feel like, I mean, it's really funny, but I say that, okay, I want to be the Neil deGrasse Tyson in India because I want to talk to people in a very simple language so that they understand and they start liking space.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So we always end a Space Shastra episode the same way. So if every student or parent, every young women listening to this right now, and they could only remember one thing from this entire conversation, what do you want that one thing to be?
Oh, this is a really difficult question because, kind of putting every thing into one line. Um, I would say that if you feel that there's no opportunity in a certain field, you're definitely wrong because you can go and create that opportunity. And I would give you one example. Say 20 years ago, nobody would actually agree to the fact that you can make videos and earn money from it, even if the video is just like, normal content, normal jokes, or normal real life, whatever you do, if you're cooking a meal, or if you're washing your dishes or anything that you're doing, if somebody is creating like a day vlog, um, who would pay me money for that? But now people are creating such videos and they are, they have their accounts monetized because of that fan following, because of that influential era that's going on. So trends change, and please don't be scared to be a trendsetter. That's what I would say.
Okay, thank you so much. And finally, I would really appreciate if you can, So this is like you are directly speaking to a 15 or 17-year-old girl who is, who is thinking of pursuing her career in space, or who has her interest in STEM. Uh, the one you are, the one thing that you want to mention, or what you can say, if she is listening to you right now, what do you say to her?
Well, if she's really sure that this is the field for her, there is no looking back. There is immense opportunity in India, and it's only growing. So I would just say, be curious, because when I was, searching for opportunities, they don't just stumble by your door. You have to dig, and you have to knock, and you have to, how you say, beg, borrow, and steal. So please go ahead and do everything it takes for you to feel satisfied in terms of, okay, this is the direction I want to go in. So I used to message people on LinkedIn. I used to email them. I used to call them. I used to ask my friends, do you know anybody who works in ISRO or DRDO or any other government organization who is related to which is related to space? So please be curious, and if you don't ask, you don't get. So don't let your curiosity die. I'm very, very happy to help out. A lot of people text me on LinkedIn that we would love to know more about your journey, and could you please guide us on how we can go forward? This is what we're doing. Even I'm from computer science background, but I want to switch into astronomy or astrophysics. So what should I do? And people will always help you if you have, if you're genuinely curious about something, if you have a genuine interest, people would definitely help you out.
Thank you. Thank you so much for such an inspiring, message for those girls. I'm sure this is going to help them a lot. So I think, yeah, Gauri, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Astrophysics,
Prishti.
science communicator, mentor, and now the founder. What you're doing is, just amazing and impressive, but it's not like uh, only impressive, but I do believe that this is necessary for now, build especially for the Indian space ecosystem, because the future of India in space, it's not going to build by the people who had every advantage, I must say, but it is going to be built by the curious one or the stubborn one, and the one who refuse, to be told that, star are not for them, but every background consists, and as you say, space is for all. So thanks for making sure that, those people have a map now to step in this domain, and it's really great conversation having you today.
Thank you, Shrishti. And in the end, I would just like to say that there is no set roadmap for you to follow and reach your goals. You're always figuring out, you're always trying to do the best for yourself. So even I did not know that, I would end up being in Oxford. So if you are genuinely curious about something, just keep digging. And eventually you'll get to a great position.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for this.